This is just the base. I'm covering it with a thin layer of clay, just like the doll, and it's all kinds of messed up. Like, it doesn't need to be perfect in any way, shape, or form. Especially because it's supposed to turn out like a rock. And right here, I'm just measuring where the doll's going to be sitting. I'm using loose clay to just show where it is going to be. Just giving it a little guide for when I take her off of it. And it helps because I have been putting water on the clay and then just putting clay on top and smearing it in. For some reason, I haven't been putting, scratching the surface of the clay, which is how you're supposed to adhere clay to dry clay to make sure it stays, but it's been working fine, so I guess whatever. And I'm doing the same thing here. I'm putting a thin layer of clay on top of the water to kind of fill the gaps and kind of use it like somewhat of an adhesive for the statue, because I was gonna put her on the top of the rock in a way that I could take her off, but that wasn't gonna happen because she's too top heavy and she would have fallen off or not sat properly. This is just me adhering the fin to it. After all 4 of the little pieces I made dried, I just plopped them on there. It was pretty easy, simple. And I'm starting to make the apex, I guess, of the tail, which was pretty easy, other than scales. Those were kind of a pain in the ass. But I just cut this out of more mesh, just like the fins for the arms. And one of them is, if you look at it, it's going to be different than the other one. Like, it got cut up, and that's what I'm doing right here. Like, it got shredded on one side. So I'm just making sure those are the right size. And I realized they were a little big, so I decided to just fold them and really mess with them. And I'm covering them in clay right now, because I'm not just going to have a piece of mesh hanging out. That'd be stupid. There it is. Adhering it, kind of. Yes, that's the word you want to use. That's the word I'm using. But this is fairly simple. Like, most of it, I'm just winging it. The worst part, like I said, is the scales. The scales were just tedious altogether, no matter what I was doing with the scales. And this was worse because I had to put them underneath other ones, because I couldn't layer it up like I was doing the original way. The easy way to do scales. But I had to do what I had to do, so I guess it's whatever. It turned out good, so I suppose it's fine. And I'm just adding the broken, shredded, whatever, other half. And I did put a smaller fin up a little ways farther than that, but I never got a video of that for whatever reason. And here, the hand fell off quite a while ago. I figured I'd put it on when I wanted to add it, when I was working with that part. But so I'm just adding to it. And it's not on here, I don't have a video of it, but I did put a very, very thin layer of clay surrounding both hands so that you could, so it wasn't chunky, freaking, meaty claws going on. I am giving her a hole in her head. Lobotomy and all that. Just because I wanted her hair to simulate that it was blowing in the wind, which I'm not sure if I actually did that, but I tried. So this is just me shoving a hole through her head with a clay tool. And I'm gonna be putting wire in it. And I should have made more holes, but I only made 3. I'm not sure how well I conveyed it, but I tried for winging it. I think I did pretty good. And I did plop a tiny little chunk of clay in each hole just to give it less room to move, I guess. And here's me playing with more tinfoil. Once again, I didn't want to waste a lot of clay. I mean, that clay is fairly expensive. I mean, it is air dry clay, but it's like professional kind of shit. So, just doing it again. Puka's looking out the window. And this part is just, I'm adding a little, I made more mesh. Well, I didn't make the mesh, but I cut out more mesh to kind of make like a side thing with her hair, because not all hair is just like a clump of string. And this is just me giving her texture to like where her bangs would have been if they had blown out of her face. I don't know. Something like that. It's just hair texture. And those two clay tools on top are just holding one of the ones that I didn't put in her skull. Right here, she needed high cheekbones. She had that baby face still, so I gave her some cheekbones. And a nice chiseled jawline. Even though she doesn't have an ear right now. Looks a little burn victim-y right there, but I'll fix it. Those eyes, they were giving me trouble. They were too, I don't know, serial killer bulging, you know? You know, when you look at what their eyes and it's like they can't close them because they're bigger than their eyelids. That's what I was getting, those vibes. And right here, yeah, I'm cutting her nose off. Giving her some Michael Jackson features for a little bit. Her nose was just not in the right spot because I wanted her to have a lengthier nose because it didn't look right where it was. It was too close to her eyes. I started giving her a mouth already, but the area where her teeth would have been, it was way too flat. It didn't look anatomically correct from a side profile, so I had to fix that real quick. And I'm just giving her a mouth right now. It was a little difficult. Like I said, I've been winging it this whole time, so I mean, to be fair, it turned out better than it could have. Oh, I'm good. I'm just body blushing with black. And the scales, like I said, pain in the ass every time. So tedious, even with this. And this is pan pastel. It's essentially chalk pastel that you apply with basically makeup utensils. Brushes and sponges and all that fun shit. So, and this was just to add more contrast to her. And I did use some white on some of it, because those scales toward the end got a little close together, so I just was making them pure, gray. And I wanted the whole reason was to give it a gradient. And I even shaded like where the shadows were, and there's the white just dotting it on there, giving it more. I don't know if it contrasted after I put the final coat of paint on her, because she's much darker. And I think maybe it's because I used quite a bit of the pan pastel, unfortunately. But that's okay, whatever. And this is me just painting. This was a bottle of, I don't know if it was exactly what I should have used, but I did a little bit of research, I guess. But I got some leather paint, because I read somewhere that works for air dry clay to stop it from being water activated on accident. And this is water-based paint, which is strange that I chose a water-based paint for a water-activated clay, but hey, whatever, screw it. It turned out pretty cool, actually, and it's supposed to be a matte finish, and it's like semi-matte. It's not completely matte. And I'm gonna show what it looks like completely dry, and I think it looks pretty freaking cool. So I'm gonna put a little slideshow at the end, and that's the end of the project. Hopefully that was as fun for you as it was for me. Probably not, but one can only hope.